Living my best life? When did that become a saying? Using a highly scientific research tool called Google, it appears to have trickled into common parlance around the beginning of this still new century of ours. Living your best life involves early morning walks or hikes or exercises punctuated with glorious sunrises, a fabulously inauthentic optimism, blissfully ignorant of the financial infeasibility of Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, or a daily $14 cafe mochaccino with a $5 tip for the barista. Most people can't do that. In fact, anything attached with living your best life slogan is a euphemism for a credit card advertisement or a travel company calling on you to quell your lemony appetites. Practice smiles, pomade hair, and plenty of free time, your best life suffers pretense and sincerity and a buffet-style irony. Living your best life is little more than social media snobbery, flaunting toes on a beach, a coconut with a straw, or a spontaneous trip to Europe. And after that luxurious trip to the spa, the devotional selfie, or a candlelight dinner with the best, most perfect partner ever, living your best life comes with a social media hashtag to show friends how perfectly unique your life is. Yes, living your best life is networking condescension, implicit in this supercilious self-made pedestal. If you are indeed living your best life, you are not susceptible to this sort of criticism, because that bubbly, oh-so-delightful pina coladas and getting caught in the rain attitude of yours is a mighty shield that will easily dismiss me as a jealous grump. Maybe I am a jealous grump. Well, I'm definitely a grump, even though I think I could qualify for someone who is living their best life. I usually wake up before dawn. I love anything related to coffee, and I get to travel a fair bit. A week or so ago, I spent 4 days in the mountains for an art show. I've only been doing these art shows now for about a year, but I gotta say, I love doing them. Talk about an ego trip. People come up to my booth and marvel at my work, and I just eat it up and love it. Some even refuse to believe I could have taken so many pictures. Others cannot believe I've been to that many locations. One guy, wildly waving an 8x10 print in his hand, swore so loudly that he saw my work in National Geographic, those walking past turned to watch. Some even turned around. I love all this because no matter how much self-improvement I've managed over the years, there is still no small part of me that seeks out external affirmations. And that is why I could never post an image claiming to be living my best life. The lifestyle of doing art shows is a romantic life. The day after the show, I woke up to bunny rabbits looking in my trailer and an owl perched in the tree overlooking my camp. I watched the sunrise over the mountains and came across a herd of elk. They came out of the early morning fog and grazed in front of me. Accustomed to people yanking their cars to a skidding stop, the elk hardly noticed me. I would come across the same herd later in the day with hundreds of other people. But in the morning, when there was a fiery glint above the mountains and a cool veil of mist in the fields, the elk and I seemed to share the universe all to ourselves. It was maybe 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning when I stopped at Mingus Mill. This was a mill like I had never seen before. Built in 1886, the mill differentiated itself from other mills by not having a water wheel. Instead, it channeled water through a wooden aqueduct to utilize a water-powered turbine. The sun had risen just high enough for the leaf-filtered light to perforate the still dewy canopy. But the best part of the mill was that, despite this being the height of tourist season, I had the place to myself. The rest of the morning of living my best life involved casually stopping at overlooks. I had decided I would go take a look at Rainbow Falls, not the Rainbow Falls of North Carolina, which I had photographed before on a brutally cold day. Unbeknownst to me at the time, this was a Rainbow Falls in my home state of Tennessee. So this required a drive through the Smokies with plenty of overlooks. I'm not sure how many I stopped at, but I know that at every one the weather was different. One overlook would be shrouded in fog, while another one, just a few miles away, was a bright, cloudless day. My favorite overlook peered into the heart of a thunderstorm, with a downpour of rain. The storm itself was, I'm guessing, 5 or more miles away, but the sullen landscape kept me in a good mood. Who wants a perfect sunrise picture when you can have one of a storm instead? I was definitely living my best life. I could have concocted some thoughts about happiness and contentment, about living in the moment, doing things you love. I could have told you about the virtues of being an early morning riser and the best sneak peek of heaven we have, your 2 hands with interlaced fingers gripping a steaming cup of coffee just as the sun breaks over a mountain with an elk quietly ignoring you. I could have told you all of this. I could have pretended to be all of this. But it's only half the story. I didn't tell you about sleeping in a 5x8 enclosed trailer on a trifold mattress that was so short I felt frozen in the pose of a child jumping into a swimming pool as a human cannonball. Or the bathroom that was behind a tree, or the roll of toilet paper that I carried with me because, well, you never know. I didn't tell you about going days without a shower, or the 14-hour no-break workday. I didn't show you the hundreds of pictures that turned out like crap, or the Subway sandwich that kept me alive, or the no-good Wi-Fi signal in McDonald's that didn't allow me to communicate with the outside world. I didn't tell you about the 5 or 6 hours Angela worried about me because I was unreachable. Living your best life seems like a meaningless phrase. It's something stupid we say when we don't know what to say, like, help will be here shortly, or hang in there, or how are you? There's a polished insincerity about it, as though the best life were only glorious sunrises and sunsets. I can't go there. Even though my life is pretty great right now, and I get to do a lot of these seemingly romantic things, I remember those times when I was unmedicated or self-medicated, flat on my back looking at the ceiling fan, thinking death would be an acceptable compromise. Surely God and I could agree on that. A couple I met along the hike up to the falls talked to me about how scary it was for them being young parents of a child with severe asthma. The midnight rushes to the hospital, the choking sounds, the helplessness, the never-relenting fear of losing your child. They really have no idea how beautiful this is, the father quietly mused as he looked at the weekend warriors climbing the rocks posing for selfies. You really have no idea if you're living your best life until you know what it is to hate life. You can never know true gratitude until you've known true helplessness. When I think back on those lowest moments of my life, I now understand what is meant by redemptive suffering. And after redemptive suffering, maybe then there is the possibility of living my best life.